Welcome to the Pawn Sacrifice channel and episode something or other around 30 of the 924S turbo build, and this is already going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane because I'm going to be rebuilding a turbo. Now previously I rebuilt a K04 something S, or basically K03S, which is the hybrid one, at about the same time, or actually what had arrived even before that was finished, was this, which is the bigger K04 23 off of the Audi TT 225. So this needs to go through the same process of rebuilding. I think there's a bolt or something that I need to get for it as well. But the other thing with this one was when I bought it, it didn't have the regulator. So what I've done, or what I've got, is a slightly upgraded one. So this is, I think it's 15 psi, which is slightly higher, which is a few psi higher than the standard one. So I've just got that. What I might do is look at getting a forge one at some point where I can meddle around and adjust the springs, although let's see if I can get it started before I start getting too far ahead. So that's the challenge. I have got this is the official overhaul kit. That's from Borg Warner, who make these things. So yeah, so I'm going to be going through. The only thing that I've done so far is just basically douse the thing in penetrating fluid, so hopefully it's going to fall apart a little bit easier than it did last time. So I will get on with taking the top off, then the bottom. I'll be left with the core. I'm expecting to possibly need fire at some point as well, similar to last time, and then when that's done I can then go through, start stripping out the relevant parts from the turbine as it is, and then replacing them with the new bits, and I'll give everything a bit of a clean up as well at the same time. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so starting this with removing the bottom section. Just a bunch of bolts which have been heavily lubed and undoing those. So a bit of a whack, it was slightly unnecessary. The nuts here have actually come undone a lot easier than I was expecting. What I'm doing is winding some of them out into the core just to help push and separate the two, but this is coming apart a lot easier than it did last time. So with the cold side, just a couple of bits to undo. Okay, so I've set the gear puller up, or the bearing puller, or whatever it's called. It's a bit precarious. The reason that I've done this off camera is just because it's so fiddly and it takes forever, but essentially I've found the best way to do it is to tighten these up so it sort of holds it in place. Let's just hope this is going to work, and push so just winding this out now, making sure everything's still in position, and then the core just pops out nice and easy, a lot better than last time. A bit of a clean and away we go. There we go. There is the core, and as you can see, I mean there's a bit of play there. That's what I'm hoping to get rid of. From that, clean all the cups and everything up. So basically it's now a case of disassembling this, getting everything off, and then replacing with the new bits and pieces from inside. There's a left-handed thread on this, so you need to be a bit careful when removing the nut to not be tightening it up, so it's fighting all of the instincts. I'm just using a knife there to mark the rotation The top part came off relatively easy, just some fiddling around. Now removing some of the bits, so the thrust bearing. And what am I doing here? Oh yeah, that's just using the screwdriver to push out the main bearing. And that's it, everything's fallen apart. And here we have a lineup of everything before it's going in for cleaning. And here we have post blasting, and this was done with glass shot. It's come out quite nicely, even though the hot side is a bit of a mess. There's no cracks all the way through, but it's not great. The other stuff went through okay as well, and the core, I've basically just done that by with a wire brush and some, I think it's carb cleaner, which has done a pretty good job, and then rinsed out the insides. All the oil channels at least have been blasted through with WD-40. Right, the other thing which I didn't mention that I did do was just blast everything through with compressed air. Obviously I just got the little nozzle adapter for the compressor that I was using to power the blaster. If you are cleaning this sort of thing anyway, you can buy just cans of compressed air. I tend to buy them in bulk, although I've been using them less now, but they're just quite handy to have around. You can get them from office supply stores used for cleaning computers and whatnot. So this is all good. Now, I remember last time I did this, there was a question about balance and what have you, so I've got some marks that I'm going to try and roughly line this up anyway. But in fairness, the amount of crap that was on these two, particularly on the hot side, there were big bits where it was just in here. Ooh, there we go. Where it was just caked in carbon deposits and what have you that took a lot of work to get them off. So I can't imagine it would have been in balance for certainly for any sort of recent period of time anyway. So yeah, we'll see what it's going to be. Okay, so bit of faff getting one of the tiny little C-kits back in place. Use the old bearing, and then yeah, everything starts to go back together okay, although I have some moments of uncertainty, which is why things seem to be going on and then coming off again in terms of the order. But yeah, generally that's been okay. And then just tighten up. I don't have a left-handed torque wrench, so I've just had to do it as best I can with a bit of thread lock. So that's the core is now fully reassembled, and yeah, looks okay. So I'm reasonably happy with that. To be honest with you, I don't know why, but I'm less convinced by this than I was by the last one that I rebuilt. And with that reassembled, it's just a case of bolting everything back on to the hot side. Just get those tabs in place, fold them around, and then with the hot side, where I'm faffing about here is just really, the position is dictated to by the flipping actuator, so it only really go on in 4 positions. So it's just trying to get something that works there. So I'm finding the fitment. This has become a barren turbo wasteland. I will explain right now. Okay, so situation is the bigger turbo, and this has got the actuator removed so that I could rotate the cold side to wherever I needed it, but I've got a slight issue. As you can see here, pointing upwards, which is where it wants to sit, it is butting into the strut tower, and if I move it down to sort of roughly where it is now, then it's hitting on the engine mount. So that's an issue. The other problem that I've got with this is when I was doing the research on this turbo and would it fit, the only thing that I could see as a negative was the fact that you needed to clock it. But the actual bolt pattern for these two bits is different, so I can't actually bolt it onto the manifold. I suspect I could get around the exit being where it is, but that's an issue. I've had a look, and the TT one that the turbocharger fits is actually it seems to be that it moves a lot further out, which I don't think is going to be acceptable. And then I've got this one, which I rebuilt previously, which is the S version. That fits quite snug, and it's coming up against the engine mounts again at the bottom, so that's where we are with those. Yeah, so that is where I'm going to leave it for now. I need to try and work out what I'm going to do with the turbos, so I need some time alone with my thoughts. I think things that you don't need to see, and that's that. There's a bunch of other stuff that I'm waiting on, and then we should start to see a bit more progress. There's things that I've been doing that I haven't filmed. I've been trying to fiddle some water pipes, but they're so corroded in time they're almost unweldable. I'm waiting for someone to finish off the fuel lines. I need to get a belt for the alternator so I can get that finally sorted. There's all the water pipes that need doing. Once the turbo's in, I can get the coolant and oil lines done. I need to do all the intake lines, which really need the turbo to be in place. The exhaust system, I need the turbo to be in place. And then once that's done, yeah, anyway, that's kind of where it is at the moment. Enough of my rambling. I thought I'd do this even though there's a lack of success, because you never know what I might come back to. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'm going to be getting back on with stuff today, so hopefully be a bit more regular with the videos again. And yeah, hopefully catch you next time. Cheers.